Hi, this is an original Life magazine from July of 1969 showing Neil Armstrong leaving for the launch pad for the liftoff to the moon. On July 16th, 1969, at 9:32 a.m., Apollo 11 astronauts Neil Armstrong, Edwin Buzz Aldrin, and Michael Collins lifted off from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida for the moon. They, after 4 days, landed on July 20th, 1969, and at 10:56 p.m., Neil Armstrong became the first person to step foot on the moon in the Sea of Tranquility. Now, where they landed, here's a globe of the moon. They landed right there, which is in the kind of the eye portion of the moon. Now, during landing, where they were supposed to land was a complete boulder field. Of course, they didn't know this until they got almost down to the surface. They were low on fuel, and Neil Armstrong had to manually override the computer and take over and find a good landing spot that was flat, without boulders, and set the Eagle lunar module down. They spent a couple hours on the moon exploring it, talked to President Nixon on the phone, set up the American flag and some plaques and other items. Now, after the moonwalk, once they got back inside the lunar module, they smelled something odd. They didn't know what it was until they discovered that the smell was the dust residue on their spacesuits, and it smelled like wet ashes. So normally people don't think about the moon having a smell, but apparently the moon smells like wet ashes. When they started to get ready for liftoff to rendezvous and meet with Michael Collins in the command module orbiting above, their worst fears almost came true. There was always a fear that we might not get them back. What if they couldn't lift off from the moon? Well, somehow accidentally, the button for liftoff from the surface of the moon inside the lunar module got broken. This was a major problem. So they solved the problem by using an ink pen to stick into the hole to launch the lunar module Eagle off the lunar surface and back into orbit to meet Michael Collins. They made it safely back and splashed down in the Pacific Ocean on July 24th, 1969. Now, the moon is 2,160 miles wide. It's 240,000 miles from Earth, and its temperature is 245 degrees below zero in the shadow of the moon. But in the sunlit portion of the moon, temperatures reach 220 degrees Fahrenheit. The moon is very heavily cratered and rocky. It has no atmosphere whatsoever, which means Neil Armstrong's footprints will last for millions of years. The moon is slightly smaller than Mercury, but slightly larger than the planet Pluto. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.